And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to a new video. And yes, you are reading it right all over the internet today that Stellantis is searching for a new CEO, that they plan or are considering not renewing the 5-year contract that they have with Carlos Tavares. Big shocker, he's doing a horrible job. I think that this is them signifying that they agree that he's not doing a good job. With that said, in the articles, you can go read them. I'll put a link in the description below to read through its entirety. But they're cautious in saying he's out. They even go to the extent to say he may stay. We're not sure yet, but we know that it'll be an extensive search, so we want to start doing it now. But let's just be clear. I saw TK had mentioned, at least in our private group, he shared with me that they're floating the balloon to see how the markets react, and that the market reacted positively to that news that he may not be there long term. With that said, there's no guarantee that he's out completely. But there is speculation, and I know TK shared this with me as well, and I know many of you are already messaging me that will Tim Kuniskis come take over Stellantis? And I thought I would share just my thoughts, my opinion on this before I jump into some data and additional information, that I believe that would be a wildly enormous long shot, only because generally that position, going that high up the food chain, is more of a finance-minded guy. You've got to be downright brutally vicious, nasty, and cutthroat to survive in that job. And most of the people that take those jobs are not people like Tim Kuniskis. They're not incredibly talented communicators. They read scripts, they follow dialogues, they don't shoot from the hip. They're not high energy. They're basically finance people. They're accountants is what they are, or they're lawyers by the time they get to those kinds of jobs. If you look at CEOs across America, it's rare that you find the old days Lee Iacocca type, high energy, big inspirational type CEOs. And Tim is a car guy. Tim is, I don't want to say a sales guy, because he could sell ice cubes to Eskimos. I mean, he could sell the hell out of all the Dodge products, but when those products were good, because he was speaking, I believe, from the heart and the soul. Generally, those guys don't end up showing up as CEOs of multinational corporations. What I think could happen is they could split off and have separate CEOs for North America and another CEO for Europe and Asia and all the other places they operate. And that way, at the very least, America could feel that they've got an American running the American brands, and that could assist them a lot in bringing a lot of us along. But keep in mind, my expectation is that Tim won't take it. Tim's wealthy, Tim's solid, Tim's good with the money, and Tim can go get jobs anywhere. The only way I think Tim would take this position is if there was a chance that they could bring back more options with ICE versions, with internal combustion engine vehicles, because I think by the look on his face and the way he was trying to sell us the Hornet and trying to sell us the Dodge Charger EV, and then suddenly he's out, I got to think that he made so much, I'm just speculating here, made so much noise as Stellantis that Tavares said, yeah, I think it's time for you to retire. Of course, that's just my speculation, my guess, which would make it so beautiful for him to come back. But I just don't see him having the horsepower to run a multinational company. I think, frankly, a monkey could do better than Carlos Tavares. But the amount of BS you got to deal with when you're in that position and dealing with the board of directors and Wall Street, it's just not for the faint of heart. Just my experience, and I've met some of these folks, and I got to tell you, every time I've met one of the CEOs on one of the major multinational, colossal, gigantic corporations, they're terrifying. They are not normal people. They are, I want to say, robots, very robotic. They follow direction, whether the direction's good or bad, from the board of directors. They answer to Wall Street. Their job goes with the wind, if it blows this direction, even if they don't agree, they don't get necessarily to have their own thoughts. And the expectations are so high that whether it's good or bad, they're held responsible. And even when things are really good, oftentimes it's credited to things like the market, etc. So I think that would be a big leap. But if they split off North America CEO and Europe CEO, or out of America CEO, I would love to see that as well. But how do they walk back their retirement announcement? Are they going to get up and say, just kidding, we were lying? That could happen. Let me jump to my other screen here. So this is a great article I found when the announcement was made about Kuniskis stepping down, and we all jumped down that rabbit hole. And Utopian did a great article calling BS and actually giving us all credit. And I just thought this was a really cool article that they recognized a lot of us YouTubers because we were the ones. So when we think, are they listening? Are they listening to us YouTubers? Are they watching our videos? Is anyone out there in the marketplace paying attention other than just all of us who watch YouTube and spend time on here? Well, the good news is we hit some of the mainstream media. There's Racer X's video where he called a little bit of BS on Tim retiring. Here's another video from Reignited. Here's another video from my favorite YouTuber, OC Motivator. And then, of course, my video at the time was, 40,000 views or 24,000 views. I don't know what it is now. But Butter's video went really big, which was 64,000 views. Then you've got TK on here. We're all recognized for calling BS. And this article kind of goes along with that it just doesn't make sense that he's going to ride off into the sunset in the Dodge Demon and call it a day. And he has such a great history in selling these great products. But I believe wholeheartedly that he was the spirit of Dodge. And regardless of what you think of him, some of you are going to comment that you didn't like Tim Kuniskis. I got to tell you, having had my own personal hour-long phone call with the man, I don't know how to dislike him. I mean, he couldn't have been more straight up honest. He jumped in when the Soldier had the challenge with getting that Demon sold out from underneath him. He jumped in so many times. He coordinated with Butter on making some amazing things happen. And he was really out to really make things good for the customers, despite a lot of the drama out there. He tried to outsmart the dealers with the markups, only to find them willing to go to a dark, deep, really crooked level with straw buyers and all kinds of ridiculous behavior. $100,000 lug nuts to get a Dodge Demon order. So bottom line is nobody believed that he just stepped down, but they sold it to us that way. And for that reason, I think it might be a challenge for them to come back and say, just kidding, he's coming back. With Carlos at 66 years old and Tim being a relatively young guy, I think nobody believes he's retiring, and he would have a lot of gas left in the tank, no pun intended, to be able to come and do a big job. But would he want the brain damage of working with a European company that continuously makes really bad decisions? Well, let's look at the job our most hated CEO did this last 5 years. Here's the article, and I'll put a copy or a link in the description below where they talk about, and they play it very careful. Well, his contract's coming up. We're not sure what we're going to do. He may end up staying. I mean, they don't want to blow up the market at the same time. If for the people in the market who believe that all his cuts are wise and good, but let's look at the job that he did, which I think is pretty interesting. This is the stock for 5 years, a 5-year look at the stock. And if we just go back, and mind you, he joined in, let's just say it's 4 years ago, but maybe his contract's 5 years, but he was there before this. I believe that's the case. But nonetheless, you're looking at things were just bouncing along in 2019, just bouncing along, nothing, dramatic. But then the COVID news started to come, and that started to happen late 2019 and then started trickling into first quarter. And by the time we got here, March 27, 2020, or actually before that even, March 2020, late February, the world was starting to come to an end, and we started going to full lockdowns. And every company in America's stock did the same dance. So regardless of who was the CEO, this was going to happen. There was no way around it. There was fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and everybody believed that it was going to be the strong would survive, many would go down in flames, regardless of whether it was car manufacturers or whatever the heck. It was going to be a problem. So, but what we found shortly after that is the supply chain got screwed up, and that limited inventory. And the second inventory got limited, boom, he started to look like a genius. Now, he started to look like a genius all the way up until really 2023. I mean, despite all of us knowing that he was a disaster, we knew because he was getting rid of our beloved Hemi V8s, but he was getting rid of the beloved Chargers and Challengers in any form. 6-cylinder V8s, didn't matter. He's getting rid of them, and he's doubling down on this EV thing, and he's doing the Hornet thing. So I would say 2023 was a year where nobody knew what the hell to do, whether to shit, go blind, or wind their watch. Nobody knew what to do, so the stock bounced all over the place. And it was mostly on speculation. What are they going to come out with? What are they going to come out with? What are they going to come out with? And nobody really knew. And let me be clear that from here to here, really, I mean, until interest rates went to the, tanked, which probably right around here or so, anybody could have ran this company. I mean, anybody could have got through a lot of this stuff. I mean, for sure, through COVID till about, beginning of 2022, anybody could have looked like a hero there. Bottom line is, he ends up coming through the late 2023 and scooching by the union strikes, and they had enough inventory. They built as much inventory as they could to make sure they could withstand a strike. And then he made a deal, what I believe was disingenuous, and with the UAW, telling them, fine, we'll give you what you want, knowing that he would just lay everybody off. And then here we go, selling the dream, and then the dream's not happening. First quarter, things are okay, things aren't horrible. They're still selling the old products. They're still selling some of the old products. They still have a lot of Hemi stuff going out there. And then, boom, now they're living in reality. And this is when all hell starts breaking loose. They're coming out with, everybody knows, like the Hornet's dead. They have nothing to sell at Chrysler. He's laying people off like crazy, trying to fix things. This is lots of layoffs coming, and Wall Street saying he's doing the right and prudent thing. He's getting rid of expense. And Wall Street will always give you some credit for that and praise you for that for a short period. But if it doesn't help, it doesn't work, then they're going to punish you. And what's happening now is they're getting punished. And it's one lawsuit after another lawsuit. UAW issues, strike threats once again, recalls, even the recent article with the police Durangos. Now the cops in, I think it's Marysville or something, are going to have to sell those things off. I mean, it's one bad story, one bad article after another for Carlos Tavares. The layoffs of all the executives, I mean, just disastrous all the way around, leading up to where they're at right now, where they're bouncing along the bottom, and they need to do something. And now they're blaming the economy, they're blaming the market. In that article, they reference a really tough market. So in this really tough market we're confronted with, that's why we're not able to open up some of these plants. We're not able to keep as many employees. That's why we have to do so many layoffs. That's why we're having to go back on our word with UAW, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, I believe a lot of this was self-inflicted. If we go back to 2021, if Carlos would have started selling a cheap EV like the Ford Mach-E, if they started selling something in that $50,000 range that was with the tax credits, then you would see this looking a little bit better, but it would have set him up to not have this experience here where he's trying to go all EV when the EV hype is completely falling apart at this point. And companies are going out of business, like Fisker, bankrupt. Rivian can't make money, and Lucid's losing tons and tons of money, and none of these companies, and GM's losing tons of money on their EVs, and Ford's losing money on their EVs. Bottom line is, Ford started back around here, and almost every company out there started launching some EV stuff so they could still sell the gas engines. Nonetheless, yes, the other automakers are feeling some pain, but I believe this pain is different than like market-caused pain. This pain is self-inflicted, and I blame it 100% on Carlos and him selling the dream of this whole EV Dare Forward 2030, I think it is, plan that he came up with that nobody wants to play along with. So for that reason, I think he's out. He's going to be gone. And how can they get out? So everything in the world comes down to money. So I believe if it gets bad enough, what they'll end up doing, and then also depending on the elections, what happens there, regardless of the side that you fall on, I'm not looking to have a political argument, but there could be some significant changes in the whole CAFE standards and some of the restrictions and timelines. Lots of things could change, and I don't think Carlos is mentally equipped to let go of his EV dream at this point. He's fully committed. He's even fighting with the European Union on them loosening and relaxing their EV mandates. And he's saying, no, I went all in on this stuff. You guys can't do this. You need to stay the course, because that's, in his mind, that'll be his only competitive advantage, is that he'll have EVs where other companies maybe don't, and he's going to be able to comply and take the market on. What a horrible strategy. And that, I think he's going to find himself in the same position now in America if they start loosening all those restrictions and all those requirements, and then they can bring back some V8s. They can bring back more ICE vehicles than just EVs. They make EVs as an alternative, which is what they should be, and let people buy those to enable them to be able to build the V8s, let's say, by 2026. So if I think there is anything coming back, it would take time for them to sell all these EVs and then to be able to at least comply with the current CAFE requirements. But if they loosen up, they will be perfectly poised later on to start bringing some stuff back and unraveling some of the disaster, or a lot of the disaster that Carlos Tavares created. So that's just my thoughts on this whole Carlos Tavares search for a new CEO. I hope they do it. If they were to try and do it sooner, they would need to buy him out. They would need to hand him a lot of money. And I'll tell you, if anybody at Stellantis is watching this now, I'm an idiot. I'm just a regular guy sitting here with a microphone and a camera. So who am I to give you advice? But I would tell you, pay him whatever the hell he wants to go away, and hire Tim Kuniskis, split off the CEOs for the different countries, and let Tim go back to buying the tax credits or whatever the hell from Tesla and bring back the V8. Bring it back in the new body style of the Charger if you can fit and stuff that thing in there, or come out with something else. You still have the Challenger lingering out there, nobody knowing what will ever happen with that thing, and nobody's saying that it's never coming back. So try to bring that thing back in a new body style and watch your stock soar and start launching a bunch of affordable brands. As a matter of fact, go ahead and make Chrysler the place you want to sell EVs if you want. Sell that stuff there. Those are commuting vehicle cars. Let them have the EV stuff, and then go crazy at Dodge with the gas cars, and go back to buying the carbon credits and paying the fines, and you will get your money back. Because in North America, it's a lot different than Europe and the rest of the world. You better bring those things back. And if you bring Tim back, you better believe he's going to say, I'll take the gig, but you can't have me out there selling this crap, because nobody could do it. Nobody, as great as Tim is, nobody could come out and sell all this electric vehicle garbage. So with that, everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.